You've done everything right. You went to school, you got the job, you pay your bills on time, and yet every Sunday night something tightens in your chest. Because Monday is coming, and Monday means the same commute, the same desk, the same paycheck that vanishes before you've had a moment to breathe. This is the rat race. And the terrifying part isn't that you're in it, it's that nobody told you there was a way out. Most people spend their entire working lives trying to escape by making more money. They chase the promotion, the raise, the side hustle, the big business idea, and none of it works. Not because more money is bad, but because more money alone was never the escape route. It was always a longer treadmill, a faster wheel in the same cage. The real escape isn't about how much you earn, it's about something far more specific. And once you understand it, you'll never think about your finances the same way again. Let's start with what the rat race actually is. Not in the emotional sense, the grind, the exhaustion, the feeling of running in place. In the mathematical sense, the rat race is the condition where your income depends entirely on your labor. The moment you stop working, the money stops. That's the whole trap. Your time is the product, and there's only so much of it. Vicky Robin and Joe Dominguez wrote about this in their landmark 1992 book, Your Money or Your Life. They introduced a concept they called life energy. Every dollar you earn costs you a piece of your finite time on Earth. But your real hourly wage, once you factor in commuting, decompressing, buying clothes for work, paying for lunch, spending money to recover from the week, is almost always far lower than the number on your payslip. And every dollar you spend represents that many hours of your life exchanged. The rat race, they argued, isn't fundamentally about money. It's about the unconscious trade of your life for things you never consciously chose. That reframe matters, because once you see it that way, the exit door comes into focus. The escape from the rat race has a name in personal finance: financial independence. It means reaching the point where your assets, not your labor, generate enough income to cover your living expenses. Permanently, when that happens, work becomes optional. Not because you're rich, not because you inherited anything, but because the math flipped. Your money works, you don't have to. Now here's the number that changes everything. Your financial independence number, the amount you need invested to live without working, is 25 times your annual expenses, not 25 times your income. Your expenses. This figure comes from one of the most important pieces of research in personal finance history. In 1994, financial advisor William Bengen published a study analyzing market data going back to 1926. He found that a portfolio invested in a balanced mix of stocks and bonds could sustain annual withdrawals of 4% indefinitely through recessions, crashes, world wars, and decades of inflation, without running out of money over a 30-year horizon. That 4% figure became known as the safe withdrawal rate. And if you withdraw 4% per year, you need 25 times your annual expenses to sustain it. That's the math. If you spend $30,000 a year, your number is $750,000. If you spend $40,000 a year, your number is $1 million. If you spend $60,000 a year, your number is $1,500,000. This feels abstract until you realize what it means. Your lifestyle, specifically its cost, is the single most powerful variable in your escape timeline, not your income, your spending. This is where almost everyone gets it backwards. The common belief is that escaping the rat race is an income problem. Earn enough and you're free, but consider two people. The first earns $120,000 a year and spends $110,000. The second earns $60,000 a year and spends $30,000. Who is closer to freedom? The first person saves $10,000 a year. At that pace, they will never meaningfully close the gap on their financial independence number. The second person saves $30,000 a year. Their FI number is $750,000. At a 7% average annual market return, they could realistically be financially independent in roughly 15 to 18 years. From a zero starting point, the difference isn't income, it's the gap. The gap between what comes in and what goes out. That gap, expressed as a percentage of your income, is called your savings rate. And your savings rate is the most powerful lever you have. A savings rate of 10% means roughly 40 years until financial independence. A savings rate of 25% cuts that to around 32 years. At 50%, you're looking at roughly 17 years. At 65%, it drops to around 10. The math is almost shocking once you see it laid out. The treadmill doesn't just slow down. At a high enough savings rate, it stops. Thomas Stanley and William Danko spent decades studying actual millionaires across America and published their research in The Millionaire Next Door. What they found defied almost everyone's assumptions. The majority of America's millionaires didn't have massive incomes. They drove ordinary cars. They lived in ordinary houses in ordinary neighborhoods. Their neighbors had no idea. What separated them wasn't earnings, it was behavior. Specifically, they consistently spent far less than they earned and invested the difference deliberately over long periods of time. Stanley and Danko called this being a prodigious accumulator of wealth, someone who accumulates far more than their income level would suggest, because they treat the gap between income and expenses as the engine, not a byproduct. The first concrete step you can take right now is to calculate your real savings rate. Take the amount you actually put away each month, not what you intend to save, not what you think you save, but what the numbers confirm, and divide it by your take-home income. That percentage is your current rate of escape. Write it down, be honest about it, because you can't improve a number you won't face. Now let's talk about where the money actually goes once you've created the gap. Your job is to convert saved money into income-producing assets. Assets that pay you whether you're awake or asleep, whether you're at your desk or on a beach. The most accessible asset class for most people is a diversified portfolio of low-cost index funds. An index fund is a single investment that holds a broad slice of the market. The S&P 500 index, for example, tracks 500 of the largest companies in America. Instead of trying to pick winners, you own a small piece of all of them at once. When the market grows, and over long periods it has always grown, your portfolio grows with it. Over every 20-year stretch in recorded history, the S&P 500 has produced a positive return. Its long-run average is roughly 10% per year before inflation, or around 7% adjusted for inflation. That isn't a guarantee of the future, but it is a century of evidence. The reason index funds work isn't luck, it's compounding. Your returns generate returns of their own, and those returns generate returns year after year, silently and relentlessly. The numbers feel modest at first, then they don't. At $500 a month invested at 7% average annual return, in 10 years you'll have contributed $60,000 of your own money. Your portfolio will be worth around $83,000. In 20 years, you'll have contributed $120,000. Your portfolio will be worth approximately $260,000. In 30 years, your $180,000 in contributions will have grown to roughly $567,000. The difference between what you put in and what you end up with isn't talent. It isn't timing. It's time. And time is the one thing every person in the rat race has access to equally. But most people spend waiting for the right moment to start. The right moment is now. Not when your debt is gone, not when your income is higher, not when things feel more stable. Every year you wait costs you years of freedom on the other side. Now let's talk about debt. Because most people in the rat race are carrying some, and the question of whether to pay it off or invest first is one that paralyzes a lot of people for a long time. The answer depends on the interest rate. If your debt carries a rate above 7%, credit card debt in the United States currently averages between 20% and 29%, paying it off aggressively is the right move. That return is guaranteed and immediate. No investment reliably beats a 25% interest charge. Attack it first. If your debt is low interest, a mortgage at 3% to 5%, or a student loan at a similar rate, the math often favors investing simultaneously rather than prioritizing full payoff, because the expected long-term market return outpaces the cost of the debt. You are, in effect, borrowing at a low rate and putting the money to work at a higher one. This involves some risk tolerance and personal judgment, but the core point is this: not all debt is the enemy. High-interest debt is. Here's the piece that gets skipped in almost every conversation about financial independence. You don't need to reach 100% of your FI number before your life changes. The moment your investments generate income covering even 25% of your expenses, your relationship with work shifts. You are no longer financially desperate. You have a cushion. You can negotiate without terror. You can leave a toxic situation without panic. You can take a calculated risk. The rat race loses its grip well before you're fully out. Financial security is not binary, it's a spectrum, and every percentage point you gain along that spectrum is a real, meaningful expansion of your options. This matters psychologically, because the journey to financial independence is long, and humans are not wired for long journeys toward invisible payoffs. Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist whose research reshaped how we understand decision-making, documented the phenomenon known as hedonic adaptation, the human brain's powerful tendency to normalize improved circumstances. You get a raise. You feel great for a few days, then your spending adjusts upward. The new apartment feels necessary. The car upgrade seems reasonable. The restaurant becomes the default. Within months, you feel exactly as financially strained as before, just at a higher cost level. The treadmill got faster, the wheel got bigger, the cage stayed the same. This is why income alone never solves the problem. And it's why raising your savings rate as your income grows, keeping your lifestyle costs flat while your earnings climb, is the single most reliable accelerant in this process. Every raise that goes to lifestyle is a raise that disappears. Every raise that goes to assets is a raise that compounds. Those are two fundamentally different things, and most people spend decades not knowing the difference. So what does the path actually look like in practice? Start with your FI number. Calculate your annual expenses, multiply by 25, that number is your target. It may feel enormous right now. That's fine. It's supposed to be a destination, not an immediate reality. Next, establish your gap. Look at your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Find your real average monthly spending. Subtract it from your take-home pay. That's your current gap. If it's negative, if you're spending more than you earn, that is the first and only thing that matters right now. Not investing, not debt strategy, getting the gap out of negative territory. If you have a positive gap, direct it deliberately. If your employer offers a 401k with a contribution match, contribute at least enough to claim the full match. That match is a guaranteed 50% to 100% return on your contribution before the market does anything at all. It is, without exaggeration, the single best investment available to most working people. Do not leave it on the table. After that, a Roth IRA is typically the next vehicle. Contributions grow tax-free, and qualified withdrawals in retirement are tax-free as well. The annual contribution limit as of 2024 is $7,000 for most individuals. After maxing tax-advantaged accounts, a standard brokerage account lets you invest without limits. Inside each of these accounts, keep it simple. A low-cost index fund tracking the total U.S. stock market or the S&P 500 is sufficient. Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab all offer funds with expense ratios below 0.05%, meaning for every $10,000 invested, you pay less than $5 a year in fees. That matters more than most people realize. A 1% fee difference on a $500,000 portfolio over 20 years can cost you $100,000 or more in lost compounding. Fees are the silent drain that most people never notice until it's too late. Set contributions to automatic, monthly, consistent, regardless of what the market is doing. When the market drops, and it will drop, your automatic contribution buys more shares at lower prices. When it rises, your portfolio grows. The only strategy that reliably fails is stopping and starting based on how you feel about the market in any given week. The final lever is income, not instead of what's above, alongside it. If you can grow your income while holding your lifestyle roughly constant, you accelerate the entire timeline. An extra $500 a month directed entirely into index funds adds roughly $340,000 to your portfolio over 20 years at 7% return. Not because $500 is a large sum, because $500 consistently over time, invested without interruption, compounds into something that belongs to a different category of life. This could be a negotiated raise, a promotion, freelance work in your area of expertise, selling a skill you already have. The income source matters less than the discipline applied to where it goes. The people who exit the rat race fastest are rarely doing just one thing. They are managing the gap deliberately. They are eliminating high-interest debt with urgency. They are investing the gap consistently in low-cost index funds without trying to time the market or pick winners. And they are quietly increasing their income over time, not to upgrade their lifestyle but to widen the gap further and accelerate the timeline. Here is what to do today, not next month, today. Open your last 3 months of bank statements and calculate your average monthly spending. Multiply by 12 to get your annual expense number. Multiply that by 25. Write that number down. That is your financial independence number. It is real, it is calculable. And for the first time, you know exactly what you're working toward. Then calculate your savings rate, monthly savings divided by monthly take-home income. Be precise and be honest. Then automate a transfer, whatever you can manage, into an investment account. If you don't have one, open one. It takes less than 15 minutes. Set it to invest in a broad market index fund. Set it to recur monthly. Don't change it every time the market moves. Let it run. That's the engine. Everything else, the refinements, the tax optimization, the additional income streams, comes later. The most important thing is that the engine starts. The rat race feels permanent because it was designed to feel permanent. It runs on the assumption that your time will always be the price of survival. That assumption is only true for as long as you haven't started building anything on the other side. You started today thinking the wheel had no end. Now you know exactly where the end is, you know what it costs, you know how to get there, and you know that the only thing that was ever standing between you and that exit was a number you'd never been shown. Now you have it.